here's the voice of the West Monroe Rebels, Rick Guillot.
Welcome in, everybody, to Inside Rebel Football Week 5 edition, homecoming week for West Monroe. We're live at Freddy's on Cypress Street in West Monroe. Want to give a quick shout-out to David, the manager here at Freddy's. Always takes good care of us. And Tim Gallion's here with us today as well. And Dawson back at the studio. But if you're out and about, stop in, say hi. Get one of those good vanilla milkshakes they've got here at Freddy's. And just come join us, talk a little football here on Wednesday nights. And we'll be joined by a few coaches and a few players tonight. And we'll just talk some football and get ready for finally a home game at Rebel Stadium this Friday night, homecoming against Scotlandville. Opening segment here tonight, head coach Kevin Davis with us. And Coach, we always start off the show. Let's recap a little bit from last week. Rebels go down to Baton Rouge and get beat 31-14. Somewhat, down 3 scores at halftime.
Yeah.
Seemed to get away from us a little bit there early. Rebels fought back a little bit in the second half, but just your overall thoughts before we get into any kind of specifics, but your overall thoughts on the Rebels last Friday.
Well, first of all, we've gotten beat by 2 state champions.
Yeah.
And that's not anything to shake a stick at. They were not 17 points better, I don't think. I think just us not taking care of business first half, getting in a hole, got us in a bind. But really, really good football team. Very impressed with the way they were coached, the way they played. There's not just their secondary is probably a couple of D1 guys, But other than that, they're just solid football players all the way around. And it was good for us. It's good to make that long road trip. Good to go into hostile territory on their homecoming and play. I was very pleased, like you said. I was very pleased with our second half because we could have laid down, like you said, down 3 scores, and we didn't do it. We continued to play, continued to work at getting better at what we needed to do, and so for that matter, I felt like we did get better.
Coach, your couple of mistakes that we made in the first half last weekend was on special teams.
Yeah.
Gave up some really good field position, like you said, against a really good football team, and they took advantage of that. Talk to me a little bit about the breakdown maybe on special teams and what happened and what are we doing, maybe some adjustments that we're making on those.
Well, we always evaluate each segment of the game every week, and so we went in and evaluated that, and we felt like we were probably going to have to put some of our defensive players back on it to get down and cover the way we needed to. We got out of our lanes a little bit. They did a great job. They got a great kick returner.
Yeah.
And I knew that if we ever got somebody that was a challenge like he was, it might cause a problem, and sure enough it did. But I think we can shore that up. But we worked on it hard this week. We double worked it. Usually we work it 2 days. We probably got 3 days in this week. And it's about pride and taking pride in what you do. And we had not given up anything up until that point. But I didn't feel like we'd played anybody that was good at teaching it and blocking it and having a return like they did. And obviously it kind of showed.
Well, it highlights, too, the importance. You've had the luxury of Hunter Fox just kicking it into the end zone, and he's a little banged up.
Yeah.
And so not really having to cover many kicks leading into the Catholic game. Coach, talking to some folks that were at the game and just kind of throughout the week, felt maybe the Rebels seemed a little bit flat at times. Do you think the Rebels were flat at any point in that ball game? If so, do you think maybe it's the third leg of a road trip? Your thoughts on the overall, maybe the attitude of the Rebels on Friday night?
I think you're right in the fact that maybe a little wide-eyed.
Okay.
I don't care what you say. You can talk to them all week long, but they know that those guys were the defending state champions from the highest classification in private. So they had that maybe in the back of their mind, just kind of, if we have anything that our kids do that we've got to get changed is a lot of times they want to see how they're going to be. So they'll, instead of taking it to them, Coach Dizer always says, we own the party. We have the party. We'll take the party to them. And sometimes we kind of catch that. instead of and say, okay, let's see how good these guys are going to be. Well, you get down 14 and we responded. We kick off, we took it back down, scored 7-7, then they do it again, and that's when you go, oh man, and then so that's something that we've got to adjust as just far as our mental attitude towards those type things.
Coach, still able to mix some things up offensively. Had a little bit of trouble running the football, or maybe just not as much success running the football against Catholic. Your thoughts after you've had a chance to watch the tape back? What was going on up front? What maybe some adjustments that we made that maybe opened some things up? Play action was pretty good at times as well. Ryder, a beautiful deep ball to Pickens. But your thought on the offense and the inability to run the ball at times last Friday?
Well, I think that was like we talked about. We didn't respond very well at the first, and I tell you what, they do a great job of, and it hurts you in the fact that they're going to have 9 in the box. And you say, well, no, their 2 safeties were deep, until the ball was snapped. And those 2 guys were 2 of their best players.
Well, one was a 4-star, one was a 3-star.
Well, there you go.
Safety.
And they're downhill making plays at the line of scrimmage. You can't, you don't have so many people. So that's where the play action's got to start coming in more. And we could have motioned guys, short motion guys, put them on the safety, made the corner come up and tackle, and that's something we worked on this week. Every week is a learning process. Every week is something that you got to deal with, and that was one of them this week. And those guys just do a great job of being steady.
Coach, you hear in sports, you either win or you learn.
Yeah.
What your thoughts? Maybe some things you've learned about your team. Now you coming into Week 5, 2-2, tough loss Friday. I mean, look, Catholic's a good team, but still a tough loss. What's something maybe the coaching staff has taken away from last Friday? What did we learn about our team, maybe about our defense, about our offense? Something that's kind of stuck out to you like, okay, we've got to work on this. What did we learn about the Rebels last Friday?
Well, I think the big thing is there's 2 kinds of adversity. There's winning adversity and there's losing adversity. And how you respond to either one of those is going to be crucial. When you win a ball game, you better respond humbly and know that you still have work to do. When you lose a ball game, you say, okay, what can I do better to not do that again? And so I felt like defensively, we finally matched their speed in the second half and did what we needed to do to shut them down some. Offensively, it was just to sustain. Weeks before we might have had a one-hit block, and that's all that mattered. And it don't matter now. I mean, with Catholic, those guys play extremely hard. Those linebackers are downhill. Safeties are downhill. Everything's happening at the line of scrimmage when before it might have been happening 5 to 6 yards down the field. So those are the things. Be ready.
One of the things that, Coach, I learned just, and I'm getting to see these guys every week and on Friday nights, but, the good news was we match up physically. Our speed is good, too. We look the part. We can look the part. That's a defending state champion out there. You look across the way, there's our guys. We look just as big and fast. We just made a couple of mistakes, and I think we walk away from that game feeling a little bit differently if we make just a couple of tackles there at the beginning of the ball game. Maybe, and we had a couple drives stall out, but I thought we moved the football pretty well on offense. One other thing I was going to ask you about last Friday was the environment there in Memorial Stadium. Catholic does a really good job of their student section being involved, the band right there on the field. What are some things maybe you took away from that environment that maybe something we can bring back to West Monroe to maybe emulate some of those things? Because there's, we've got pride and we've got a great tradition at West Monroe, but that was pretty impressive environment last Friday.
It was. We've had 2 weeks in a row, whether it be a big Catholic school or a North DeSoto school that's not near as big, but the environment was almost identical, the same. And our kids loved it. I think our kids fed off of it to the point that, hey, this is big football. We've played in 3 big-time road games. And we're excited about getting back home, but we want to get back home to a full house with everybody there, with a band that's, second to none in support. And drill team and dance team and cheerleaders,
Yeah.
and they were all there the other night, or those two were, and it's hard to bring that student section all the way down there. But the thing that impressed me the most, I think, is you talking and said, they had it was the Pulaski, there were 11,000. I bet there was as many viewers at this one that we had there. So there's interest, but it just, when you got your people there and they're supporting you, it makes a big difference for the kids.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Rebels coming back home and it being homecoming in Rebel Stadium, I do anticipate a good crowd. Should be great weather.
Absolutely.
Friday night as well. We're going to talk a lot more about Scotlandville and about the week of homecoming, some traditions at West Monroe, Coach. We'll talk about those in our final segment. So always good catching up with you, Coach, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, folks, that was head coach Kevin Davis. When we come back, we'll talk with wide receiver coach Matt Walker here on Inside Rebel Football. We'll be right back.
At Century Next Bank, employees are busy working for you. Employees like Lee Denny, whose relationships make an impact in the communities we call home.
So to see positive impact that these relationships can have when you work with other people, when other people appreciate it. And again, it goes back to spending time and trying to help somebody, and it's a very rewarding thing for me as well.
For more on Lee's story, visit bankwithlocals.com. Century Next Bank. What's next for you?
Welcome back, folks. Rick Guillot here, live at Freddy's here on Cypress Street in West Monroe. We appreciate their hospitality and their food and always having things set up for us. And, of course, Tim Gallion's here with me and does a great job on Wednesdays and Fridays for us. And I know Tim's excited about being back in Rebel Stadium. Coach Ashley as well with the live stream on YouTube. And, of course, you can find that tomorrow. That'll be uploaded on the West Monroe High School Facebook page or the West Monroe High School football Facebook page, which will take you to the high school YouTube page, and you can watch our show live here at Freddy's. Also want to thank Jim Taylor Ford, Family Convenience Clinic, Century Next Bank, Home Improvement Outlet, Polaris of Ruston, Twin City Chiropractic, Kyle Nix, Rocket Fast Car Wash, Stanley Doopy with Doopy Flooring, and Dr. Jeff Counts. We appreciate everybody's support in making our show Inside Rebel Football happen here at Freddy's. Now joined by wide receiver coach Matt Walker, familiar name to the program and to our listening audience. And, Coach, it's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you.
Here on the show. Took a little time off last year, made your way back here, but total time at West Monroe, Coach, how long has it been?
Since 1996, however long that is.
1996. Wow. That's a long time, Coach.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's almost 30 years in this program. And, Coach, I told you off air, just so good to see such a familiar face. And,
Thank you.
of course, you were here when I played and been around this program for a long time. And I know a lot's changed over those almost, we'll call it 28 years. Coach, talk to me a little bit about this season, this wide receiver group that you've got. I know you've had some pretty special ones. The talent seems to run pretty deep this season. Tell me about the group that you have.
We've got a large group of receivers this year. Many of them, this is their first year at the varsity level, including one of the ones that's going to be on later, Jahvion Pickens. This is his first year, and he's a senior.
Yeah.
But he's very talented receiver.
Had a big catch Friday night.
Absolutely,
a couple
he
of good
did.
catches.
And it was a ball that was kind of thrown out over his outside shoulder, and he adjusted well to it, made a big catch, got us down close to the end zone. We've got Trez Davis, of course. You probably played with Trez's dad.
Yeah, sure did.
Tremesian, who went on and played at Louisiana Tech.
Yep.
Trez is a junior, and he's doing a really fantastic job. Got a big body, very athletic, great hands.
Yeah. Good kid, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All our kids are good.
Yeah.
And that's been a staple for a long, long time. And we've got Kayvion Mitchell, Luke Valerie, Braxton May, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Lucas Dupreece, I forgot Lucas. Just a bunch of great kids, a bunch of great receivers.
Coach, you going in the summer, we focused, did a lot of 7-on-7, and then when fall camp starts, just really throwing the ball around the field, just really getting somewhat of a new pace, new spread, some new motions and formations and all that good stuff. Well, season starts and we pivot a little bit, get down under center and say, hey, we can be road graders. When you're coaching a group of wide receivers who obviously wide receivers, they'd much rather go jump and catch a pass or a touchdown instead of make a good block.
Right.
How do you manage that transition with your receivers and the coaching style and their job now on a Friday night?
Well, the first thing that we always try to stress it is team over self.
Yeah.
And I've always been of the opinion that it doesn't matter. Our stats don't matter. That as long as we're winning, as long as we're contributing, we're doing the job that we're supposed to do. And we try to stress that over and over and over. And, over the years, the kids have bought into it. And they take pride in blocking because they know that if we don't block out wide, we don't have big running plays.
Yeah.
We certainly don't have big touchdowns on the runs. So that's just something we've always stressed, and the kids have bought into it.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you've been doing this for a long time. Another responsibility that you have at the high school is you're the head track coach.
Yes.
And how did that come about? And tell me about that responsibility.
I'm really not sure how it came about. Mr. Lane and I talked, and he basically asked me if I would like to be the head track coach, and I had my doubts at first and thought about it a little bit, and then decided, that was something that I think I could do, and
awesome.
We've started building the program.
Okay.
We had a lot of kids last year. We did a lot of good things, and looking forward to an even better year this year.
Is that something you have to balance during football season? Being a head coach of another sport is a big responsibility. But you're also deep into football season, too.
Right.
How do you manage those two things, and what are some things you're working on with track right now?
Right now, last year was the first year that we had a 7th-hour track class for those kids that don't do other sports, and try to get them a jump start on the season during the 7th hour. It's their PE class, and
sure.
We just do a little, try to make them more athletic, more explosive, and just get them a little conditioning there in PE. And this year we've doubled the class as far as the number of kids that are in it. Of course, that does take me away from being in football 7th hour, so I miss some of the meetings.
Gotcha.
But I get caught up. Coach Turner does a great job. Coach Goins does a great job of getting me caught up as soon as I get done with the track
sure.
class, and we just all work together and make it work.
Yeah. Any kind of mandate for any receivers? You're going to send them to track when the season's over? Are you encouraging your guys? Hey, man, let's go get faster.
Jahvion ran for us last year. Kayvion also did. Of course, Jahvion's a really good basketball player, so we get him after basketball. When Trez got out of basketball, he came and did some triple jumping, and he's pretty talented at that as well.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, yeah, you're juggling a lot of stuff here for the program, Coach, and it's always good to see you. As before I let you go, your thoughts. It's homecoming week at West Monroe. You got a Scotlandville team that's coming in, and you guys have been preparing for that this week. Just your initial thoughts on the game Friday night.
Well, we're expecting a typical homecoming crowd, a lot of old faces returning.
Good. Yeah.
And look forward to seeing some of those guys that come back. Of course, Scotlandville, very talented. Typical Scotlandville defense. Up front, pretty big, very athletic on the back end. But if we take care of our business, do what we've been coached to do all week, I expect that we'll fare well Friday night.
Good. Coach, always a pleasure visiting with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good to hear your voice and see your face. And we'll get to catch up with a couple of your receivers here, Jahvion Pickens and Kayvion Mitchell, when we get back right here on Inside Rebel Football. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
For years, you've trusted us with your car buying experience. You've trusted us to provide service after the sale. You've even trusted us to help keep your vehicle clean. Now it's time for us to have some fun.
Polaris of Ruston, where the road ends, adventure begins.
Welcome back, folks, to Inside Rebel Football. I'm Rick Guillot, and we're live at Freddy's in West Monroe on Cypress Street if you're out and about. And maybe you're not hungry for supper yet, but grab you some ice cream, a good shake, right, Tim? That's a really good desserts here at Freddy's, and we appreciate David and his team. Great hospitality, and always taking care of our coaches and players right here at Freddy's in West Monroe. Now joined by two members of our offense, two wide receivers, Jahvion Pickens and Kayvion Mitchell. You've heard both their names on our Friday night broadcast. And Jahvion, we'll start with you. You had a big catch Friday night against Catholic. Take me through that play. What happened there? It's a deep ball from Ryder, and had to make a little adjustment on the way. Tell me about that catch and how it felt to have a big play like that.
I mean, it felt good. I'd never been in that situation before. So I knew I had to make the most of it when it came to me.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Well, made a good catch, and you could certainly tell you were excited. But you said you'd never been in that situation before, but you've been on a big stage before, coming over from basketball. What made you make the decision to come play football your senior year?
I really been wanting to play football, but I never really had the confidence, and I guess this year was just the year for me.
What was the tipping point? You say maybe you didn't have the confidence. What was that factor that said, you know what, you're like, hey, I've got confidence now? Or was there a coach or somebody that said, hey, man, you need to come out. You're fast and can help us. Was there what happened? What brought you over?
Most of my friends went, so that
Good.
really what made me win.
Peer pressure, good old-fashioned peer pressure. You got to love it. Well, we're glad you came over, and you're doing a great job for this team. And Kayvion, known you for a long time, man, and always loved your family, and always a good athlete, and always great effort. Kayvion, you returning kicks this season for West Monroe. Talk to me about that responsibility. Is it kind of nerve-wracking out there on the opening kickoff, thinking maybe they might kick it to me? What goes into being a successful kick returner?
I mean, when you put in work, you can trust yourself to make the catch first. Cause I always start with catching the catch. When you get in good field position, it sets up the good field position for the offense to get a better drive. That way you don't got to rely to be like at the 20, 25.
Yeah.
So it's really just putting in the work for it.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility. Opening kickoff, let's just say Rebels want to receive. What's that heart rate like? Is your heart pounding? Is it like, hey, this is the first play of the game? It might include me. Talk to me about the mindset going into that opening kickoff that you might be the guy to return the kick.
I mean, when you first hit or receive, you get your heart beating.
Yeah.
Head, everything.
You're living.
The crowd. But it's like when you get on the field, you just living.
Yeah.
So it's really make it easier. What helps me is I see the crowd jumping up.
Yeah.
I see my teammates getting up and cheering. So it's just my responsibility to go out there, help them get better field position, and just go.
That's awesome. Yeah. Jahvion, I want to go back to the basketball. The relationship you have with basketball, and I've got to watch you play basketball. Very good player. What's the difference? Talk to me about the difference. Basketball, football. What's the difference in your mind as you prepare to play a basketball game, and then you prepare to play a football game? Talk to our audience, our listeners, explain the difference in mindset between those two sports.
When I'm playing basketball, it's natural, so I don't really be nervous. I've been doing it my whole life.
Yeah.
But like football, I'm new to it, so I'll be a little shaky.
Yeah. Maybe not quite as much confidence, and plus somebody's trying to kill you in football. Maybe not so much in basketball. A little bit different. Guys, it's homecoming week. I like to ask our players about all the festivities that go into it. And Kayvion, what has been the message from the coaches this week? I know they've probably been on you guys to stay focused, but talk to them about you got the assembly that started today. And all the things that'll happen Friday night. Talk to me about we had the homecoming dance last weekend. Talk to me about maybe some distractions or what's been the message this week at practice.
Really, the message to me, being consistent, stay focused. Maybe win Friday. After come off a big loss Friday, it helps you come off to a big win.
Yeah.
So really want to be focused the whole week, put in the work, stay consistent, and constantly get better throughout so you can be prepared for Friday.
Well, certainly, we know you guys are going to be focused going into Friday, and even with all the distractions coming off a loss, you certainly adds a little extra motivation to that. And Jahvion, you're a senior. I know it's your first year, but you're a senior on this team.
Yes, sir.
A lot more distraction for you guys during homecoming with the assembly and having to get dressed up every day and the rehearsals and stuff. Has that been a distraction at all to you guys?
No, sir.
No? Well, talk to me about then the preparation at practice. How has this week been? Last week you're coming off a loss. What's been the message from the coaches going into homecoming week? Have they been tougher on you guys? Has the encouragement been different? What's been different this week as opposed to last week coming off of a loss?
They've been a little tougher knowing that as many distractions at school, helping us stay focused to get ready to play Friday.
Feel pretty good about Friday, you guys, both?
Yes, sir.
Kayvion,
Yes,
feel
sir.
really good about it?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see, guys. It'll be homecoming Friday night at Rebel Stadium. We'll be on the air at 6:15, kickoff set for 7 o'clock right here on LA 105.3 KLIP. Monroe, you're home for West Monroe High School football. That was Jahvion Pickens and Kayvion Mitchell with us. We'll turn the page, talk some defense with Coach Ashley here on the show with us next. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Coach, look what I got. The Rocket Fast Playbook. That's awesome, Sport. What does it say? First, you get him in the tunnel. Second, you blindside him with the wall of foam. Third, you call an audible. Then comes the Hail Mary. You hit him with the Fast Pass. Coach, it's brilliant. No dirty opponent stands a chance against Rocket Fast.
Hey, that's my playbook. Where'd you get that? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just sing the song.
Rocket Fast. It's a blast. And your vehicle is clean.
Hi, folks, and thanks for hanging with us on a Wednesday night. We're live at Freddy's on Cypress Street in West Monroe. Appreciate Freddy's and the manager, David, here, always taking care of us and each and every Wednesday night. And this is week 5, and they haven't let us down yet. Good food and good service and great environment. We appreciate their hospitality. Another guy's been here with us every week, week in and week out, is Coach Colby Ashley. Now he's actually on the show, go from behind the camera in front of the camera.
Really
I know
weird.
you don't like it. But, Coach, it's a pleasure having you on the show,
It's a pleasure to be here, Rick. I appreciate you.
I've enjoyed being around you every week. And I know you wear a lot of hats, and one of them is filming our coach's show, so it's much appreciated.
Yes, sir.
And always doing a great job. Remind our listeners, I know you got the chance to tell your story last year about how you came to West Monroe. Why don't you remind our listeners and our viewers about, how you got here?
Absolutely. Well, from Oak Grove, Louisiana.
Yeah.
From there, I went to Louisiana Tech University for undergrad. Got my degree there. I was involved in some different organizations that kind of sharpened the tools, you'd say.
Sure.
And I was fortunate enough on the back end of that to be able to volunteer with the football team in some different areas, working mainly with equipment.
Okay.
But it got me around the game. And after that, I was just like, this is what I want to do. I want to be around the game of football, And so finished out the degree there. And I was fortunate enough to get a job about 3 months before COVID popped off.
Oh, wow.
But I got a job out at Ouachita High School.
Yeah.
Started my career there and spent 4 great years there. And then was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to travel across the river this year.
Yeah.
And it's been a great 2 years, man. It feels like it's flying. It feels like I've been here forever.
Yeah.
It's a very homey atmosphere. Just blessed to be here for sure.
Well, you've done a really good job of plugging in to this community and to this high school and all the different things. I've seen you at our Boys and Girls Club games on Saturday mornings, which means the world to me and our players in that league. And so it's certainly appreciated. Coaching safeties for this defense. Let's talk a little football. You guys have had week after week after week.
Brutal has been what it is.
Just a gauntlet of offenses and quarterbacks and receivers have really forced you guys to mature in a hurry.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that process, what it's been like. You start in the scrimmage really with Calvary, and it's been nonstop ever since. Talk to me about the growth of the safeties and the secondary in general.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, it's been a gauntlet. And my background with football, coming up through Oak Grove, I was under Vic Dalrymple all these years, and if you know anything about him, he's loading that wagon. He's going to make sure that the top end of your schedule's heavy. And so when we were looking at it this year, I was like, let's go. I know that we had a lot of youth in the secondary last year. Those young bucks are still young bucks now.
That's right.
And we're still learning week to week. And so as I'm sitting here looking at this schedule, I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good through the air. They are too. It's not going to let up, and it's not going to get easy. And so, we kind of took the approach of, relaying that to our kids every day. Hey, this is what you've got. Here's who you're up against. Here's who you're lining up against. And we just have to attack it week by week. And so, with that, it's an iron sharpens iron mentality. We get to learn, from all the mistakes that we have made so far. And it's just week after week, you see us getting better in an area and better in an area. And, you see us slip up here and there. But being able to make those corrections week after week and being able to see all these concepts that we've seen, we're moving into a season where we're about to start this district play. And, we're feeling a little bit more like, hey, remember back in week 2 when you saw this, you're going to see this again under this team. And so we know how to fit to those mistakes for sure. Certainly something to think about as the season progresses. There probably won't be any surprises for you guys from an offense. I mean, you've seen Pulaski and North DeSoto, two of really just high-paced, high-powered offenses. And in Catholic, presented some different challenges. Certainly a balanced team. They had a backup quarterback that did a really good job. What are some takeaways from that game? You've had a chance to watch the film. You guys have had another 3 days of practice and plus a Sunday workout. What's something you've taken away from Catholic? What's something our safeties and our secondary has learned from that? I think the biggest word that's been kind of pulling around has been ownership. And certain concepts that they were running, they're very well coached. Yeah. They had a very good game plan kind of going forward. And so we saw some concepts that did give us trouble. But being able to, relay, and me and Coach D. Mike split the safeties room. And D. Mike told him at the beginning of the week, here's our mistakes. We have to fix these mistakes. And so this week we've been kind of preaching that ownership mentality. Yeah. Hey, this is what we've put together in the past, and here's the steps that we're taking moving forward to be able to correct those. But some of the concepts that we saw against Catholic, we were able to kind of rotate them into the practice plan this week. Gotcha. Just to make sure that we're learning from those and seeing our progress and tracking our progress. Kind of moving forward from that. But biggest thing is ownership, being able to take ownership in those mistakes. And you're seeing the kids this week. We've had a really good week of practice. Kids have been flying around. I've heard a lot more communication, which has, been some of our issues, with those cats being young. Sure. But you've seen a lot more leadership. You've seen a lot more ownership. You've seen a lot more communication back there. So it's really good to see this week. Just excited to see the results on Friday. Give me a quick, scouting report. I'll get to talk to Coach Davis at the end of the show. He'll kind of give me an overall view. But talk to me about Scotlandville's offense. I remember a few years ago, maybe a couple years ago, they rolled in here with a left-handed quarterback that was incredible. Oh, yeah. Last year, they had their struggles, and West Monroe won handedly. What's this year's team look like? What should we expect Friday? They do like to put the ball in the air. They're pretty balanced offensively. But when I say they're putting the ball in the air, they're going for the shot. They're going for the deep ball. And they have the athletes to be able to kind of take the top off of a defense. And some of the concepts that they present as well, they're really good at getting some of these guys open. They've got a 3-star receiver that I know him really well from the track scene. So I've seen his name a lot and those things. I think he was the triple jump champion last year in the state of Louisiana. But he's a Mississippi State commit right now. And he's got a lot of top-end speed, and some of the concepts that they use to get him open can be tricky. But, like I said, with that, our kids have kind of stepped up to the challenge. They're pointing out stuff. They're identifying stuff. So really excited there. But, outside of him, there's a couple of more receivers, and they've got 2 tailbacks that they kind of rotate in and out. One of them, you see him featured in the receiving game a lot, and the other one, he's there for blocking schemes, and he's real good at it. Gotcha. And so you get to see a lot of that. But, they will try to take the top off of it. So, we've challenged our guys this week. Hey, when we see this is our if and when, Got to get over the top, make sure we don't get beat deep. I'm looking forward to it, Coach, and it's been fun, really, to watch our secondary mature over time. I know we still make mistakes, but, we've been forced to grow up in a hurry. Coach, a couple other things real quick. The other responsibilities that you have for this program, not only filming our Inside Rebel football, I know you teach a class that, my son's fortunate enough to take from you. Talk to me about your other responsibilities in the program. So as far as the program in the school goes, they kind of go hand in hand with a lot of the hats. They definitely, mix up a whole lot. But, I run the social media for the football program, as well as me and Miss Shake crew over at the high school. We split responsibilities with the social media pages for that. And so, a lot of times those cross paths in a lot of ways, and some of the stuff we're recycling for other things and bouncing ideas off each other. But social media is the easy way to explain it. It gets more in detail than that. I just made 55-ish videos for the homecoming assembly over the past 4 or 5, school days. So I've had my ears pinned back, getting ready for homecoming assembly, trying to help out any way I can there. But it as far as explaining it kind of gets in detail. But just social media. That I'm learning every day with it, for sure.
Well, you've set a new standard for social media and graphics, and now West Monroe, at one time we were really non-existent in that field, and now we've got one of the best.
Oh, yeah.
And so hats off to you. Was that something that you learned over time, or is that did you go to school for that? How did you get involved in that?
I definitely went to school. I went to YouTube University, typing in the search bar, trying to figure everything out as I go. When I was at Washita, I'm looking around, and it was a similar situation. There's not a whole lot of media presence here. And, I'm sitting there looking around, and I'm seeing the trends and the way that the game is going, and, how schools are kind of rotating more towards everything is on social media. That's your main form of communication with everything. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm trying to find pictures of our kids and our athletes there, and I'm like, we don't have any. And so, instead of me going and asking and relying on other people, I was just like, let me learn how to use this camera real quick. And so that kind of blossomed in there. And when I was able to come over here, man, just the resources and the support from administration and from Coach Davis and everybody that, I work under, just the support. And they give me a green light, and they're like, take off, we trust you. And it's good to have that support system. But I just picked it up out of a whim and ran with it.
Wow.
But thankful for resources.
That's
for sure.
impressive. And I know it's certainly you're sometimes the front door to our program for people that don't follow us, and maybe that's the first time they see it. And so it's important. And
Absolutely.
So glad to hear that we make it a priority, and glad to hear that we give you the resources that you need to be successful.
Awesome.
Coach, always a pleasure catching up with you and let you go sit with your family. And, again, thank you for all that you do.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Rick.
You bet. Folks, that's Coach Colby Ashley. We come back, we'll visit with Zac Folmar and Raiquan McDaniel, a couple of members of our secondary here on Inside Rebel Football. We'll be right back.
The Home Improvement Outlet has a must-see iron door collection. Whether you're a homeowner or a builder, we have the perfect iron door for you. And check out our cutting-edge smart glass option, offering privacy and style at the touch of a button. With many glass options available, you can customize your door to match your unique style. We have iron doors that pivot, slide, and so much more. The Home Improvement Outlet in West Monroe.
Now cue that jingle.
The Home Improvement Outlet, you're building for less.
Welcome back to Inside Rebel Football here on LA 105.3. You can also catch us on YouTube. It'll be uploaded tomorrow. You can actually go to the West Monroe High School Football Facebook page. Coach Ashley will have it uploaded on the high school YouTube page, and you can watch us there on YouTube, the live stream the stream of our Inside Rebel Football show. Pre-game show will be at 6:15. Here on 105.3 Friday night, kickoff set for 7 o'clock. You can actually watch the pregame show this season. Will be live streamed. You can find it the same way. Just go to WMHS.TV. It will direct you to the YouTube page where you can watch our broadcast live on Friday night. Joined by two members of our secondary, Zac Folmar and Raiquan McDaniel. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. Zac, we'll start with you. First off, congratulations, baseball state champion.
Thank you.
And I know you serve a big role on that team, and just wanted to say congratulations. The things that you have to prepare for, the moments you have to perform in baseball. Talk to me about how those things have carried over for you in football. I know they're two different sports and a lot of big differences, but tell me about the mindset and the things you have to prepare for.
Yeah, well, I mean, both sports, you just got to compete. So it's fun being able to, no matter what the sport is, you just go out and compete and have fun. And there's high-pressure situations, and I've just been able to really get prepared for that.
Yeah.
Because I've been in a lot of them.
Right. That's right. Speaking of high-pressure situations, returning punts, I've always been amazed, especially these people in even stadiums like last Friday where everything's kind of around you and the lights are low. Talk to me about the pressure of fielding a punt when somebody is running full speed at you. Talk to me about that.
Man, it's something different. Like, it's hard to explain, but it is very, very nerve-wracking, and it's hard to do. And
yeah,
it's just great being able to do it, and I'm glad that I've been able to do it so far.
Yeah, well, you had some success Friday night against Catholic, a big punt return to set up the West Monroe offense. Talk to me about what unfolded in that play and why that punt return individually was successful.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try not to think too much when I go out there, so I'm just trying to make something out of nothing, and I got out there and ultimately decided I was going to return it.
Had a few blocks, yeah?
Yeah, and I got to the sideline, luckily, and I was able to get a few blocks and, get down the field.
That's awesome. Raiquan, you had a big fumble recovery against North DeSoto. You've been a big part of this secondary, too. You guys have really had to grow up, so to speak, over the last, really since the beginning of the season, all the high-powered offenses that you have faced, the good receivers, the good quarterbacks. Talk to me about how all the things that you've learned so far, some things that you think, hey, our secondary is doing a better job of this. This is where we're growing. What are some things you think that our secondary is getting better at right now?
Mainly staying disciplined on the scrambling quarterback.
Okay.
We've got going against a lot of great quarterbacks. All of them can move, mobile. So we just got to stay disciplined, stay on our mans.
Yeah.
We really working on that, getting better at it.
Well, awesome. Yeah, you guys have certainly improved all over the field on defense. And Raiquan, you play another sport as well. You play basketball. And I was asking Jahvion Pickens about, the difference between the two sports. I want to ask you, how do you prepare? What's the difference in preparing for a big basketball game and preparing for a big football game? Mentally, physically, talk to me about the difference between the two.
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's a big difference. We do the same thing. Go in the locker room, turn the lights off, put music on, and just lay down. Just get locked in.
It's about getting locked in and focused
the mindset.
And doing your job.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right. And you guys are certainly, again, I talked to Coach Ashley. He talked about the Scotlandville offense that you guys will see Friday night. He said he called it they like to take the top off, which means they like to go deep. Zach, as you guys have been preparing for that this week, talk to me about when you play a team like that, what's been the focus at practice this week?
A big thing for us is just getting lined up, getting set, and being where we are when we need to be. So, obviously they have a lot of good athletes, they're trying to get vertical and get wide, and we just got to be able to contain them and just basically limit them to minimal yardage.
Gotcha. Guys, I like to ask, especially our seniors, as you think back over your time, it's homecoming week, and, of course, you get to talk about your favorite memories. You get to talk about your influences. You get to look back over your time at West Monroe. I want to ask you, as you think about the influences in your life, you think about somebody that's really just invested time into you, maybe somebody that you want to emulate their game, how they approach the game. Who comes to mind? It can be a former player, an existing player, a former coach, just somebody in the community. Raiquan, I'll start with you. If you just wanted to tell someone thank you, who would pop up in your mind?
I'd say Shondarius Glass.
Okay.
When I played basketball, he really just keeps the whole team locked in, make sure we got the right thing on our minds at all times. When we're on the field, he try to keep our composure, make sure we stay disciplined on our task.
Awesome. I love hearing that, and things you pick up from teammates. Zach, your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank my father. He was a great athlete, and he really helped me love the game, learn how to play it right, and, just better myself as an athlete and as a person. So.
Cool. Well said. Both of you guys, hey, look, good luck. I know it's homecoming week. You guys will be a highlight in all the assemblies, our senior football players. And I also like to tell our seniors before I let you go, thank you for representing our program the way that you do. Both you guys carry yourselves very well. And as a former player and a graduate of West Monroe High School, I want to say thank you for all that you do.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks, that was Zac Folmar and Raiquan McDaniel. We come back, we'll close up the show with head coach Kevin Davis. We'll preview the homecoming matchup against Scotlandville. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you want to feel better and perform better and get back to doing the things you enjoy? Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Kyle Nix at Twin City Chiropractic. If pain or injury have got you down, we provide long-term solutions to get you back to 100%. Our services include chiropractic care, spinal rehab and traction, deep tissue laser, and Normatec compression. If you're an athlete, weekend warrior, work on a computer all day, or even involved in an auto accident, we can help your body perform at its best. Feel better, perform better at Twin City Chiropractic. We're located at 1117 Forsyth Avenue in Monroe. Call us at 318-582-5029.
Welcome back, folks. Our final segment of Inside Rebel Football. We appreciate you listening in tonight. Now joined by head coach Kevin Davis. And this segment, we like to preview our matchup for Friday night. Coach, you got Scotlandville rolling in here for homecoming. Been working on them all week, I assume. your thoughts on those guys? I know we played them last year. They come back up to West Monroe, but what have you seen so far? What scares you? What gives you confidence? What's your thoughts on Friday?
They're athletic. So anytime you face a team that can run and do things well, they can be a worry to you. They're really big up front. The biggest kid they got probably plays both ways, and he's played both ways all year long.
Really?
Yeah. But a quarterback has a great touch on the ball, deep. Got a receiver that's I've seen him tackle him by his hair because it hangs down almost to his waist. He's got long hair. Yeah. He can run. He runs really well, and so the key for us is probably just to keep pressure on them up front, and I feel like we can do that. Defensively, they're switching their fronts constantly, trying to confuse you maybe, or either they're trying to figure out what they want to do up front. They've got some athletic looking kids. They run around pretty well in their front seven, and they're going to try to play 7 in the box most of the time. And so we've worked on the odd front, worked on the even front, worked on just the different looks that we felt like we can get. And, by the time you get to this point in the season, you've seen most fronts. So it should be pretty easy to recognize and to block the way you need to.
Gotcha. What's one thing West Monroe has to do to be successful Friday against Scotlandville? If there's one thing, so we better get this right or we're going to be in trouble.
Well, we've got to continue to not turn it over. There can't be any turnover. We've got to win the turnover war, which we've done a pretty good job of for the most part. We've got to win the kicking game, which I feel like we will. Special teams game should be to our advantage. And then we can't give up big plays. We got to stop the big play, and they're going to try to hit the big play because that's what people have done to us this year. And so that's the things that we got to do is just play a complete game and don't give them anything.
Gotcha. Coach, it's homecoming, and so there's distractions throughout the week. There's assembly rehearsals. You've got guys dancing on stage during an assembly, and you got your senior football players who are asked to do a lot during this week. Talk to me about those distractions. How have they been handled? Have you talked to the guys about staying focused? Talk to me about what homecoming week is for you as coaches and players.
I think I've said this before, but our place does a tremendous job of eliminating a lot of that. And one of the biggest things they do is our homecoming dance was last Saturday.
Gotcha.
And man, that's a huge plus when you don't have to have that hanging over your head for the next night or the night after the ball game or whatever it might be. So my hat goes off to Miss Knox and all those that plan our homecoming festivities during the day, during school. They got things happening all the time. And then these, like you said, there'll be one performance tomorrow night, I think, and then the rest are during the school day, and they just perform for our students or for the elementary kids. And that in itself is not a distraction. When they get down to us, 7th period, they're locked in, ready to go, and ready to take care of practice. So
been a good week of practice?
Been a good week. Been a good week.
Weather's been good. Been a little warm, but
a little bit.
Weather's been good. Freshman JV, I always give you an opportunity to update us on that.
Yeah, lost a close one the other night in the freshman. That was their first loss of the season to Ruston. And then our JV came from behind, pulled another one out, and to remain undefeated. So they're playing really, really well. And so we'll go with Ash this next week. They'll come to our place. We're at home the rest of the time, so that makes it good. Ash and Ouachita, and then we're going to end the season with just our 9th grade playing OCS at our place.
Awesome.
So got 3 weeks worth of it.
Coach, as we wrap up the show, I want our audience to continue to get to know you. I know you've been here as your 3rd year in the program, and just ended up in the head coaching seat pretty quickly, after you got here. But really, it's almost been nonstop. You got here and installed an offense, and then you had to take over as an interim head coach, and now you're the head coach, and it's just been kind of a whirlwind. haven't really paused
No.
to really say, man, let's get to know Coach Davis.
Yeah.
Coach, tell me about yourself. What inspires you as a coach? Is there a former coach? Is there something? Is it the results? Is it the growth? Tell me what inspires you as a head coach.
You know, great question, Rick. You know, the other day when I said I've done this for 41 years, it does not seem like that. There's been a lot of places and a lot of experiences. And, you know, I had a guy that was coaching me, not even coaching me. He was a tennis coach at East Texas Baptist. We're playing fall team sports, which we were playing football at the time. And he said, look, I need y'all to organize this. And I just hated to see people stand back and not do anything. So I said, okay, come on, let's put this there and let's put this there. Y'all get on this team. Y'all get on this team. And he caught me and pulled me aside after it was over with. He said, you know, you'd make a great coach. And I thought, and at that point, you know, freshman in college, just starting out thinking, I don't know what I want to be, you know. And I thought, hey, that sounds pretty good. So I love sports, love people. And that was it, you know, just I feel like it's a ministry. I feel like it's a mission field that's limitless. You know, you see people every day. You're with kids every day, and you get to share your beliefs and your ideas and just try to mold them in a certain way. And I tell you what, no day is the same. You know, a lot of people get up in the morning, they go to work, and they do the same thing over and over again. It's never that way as a coach, no matter where you are. But there's always something new happening. It's always interesting. So that's probably why
Especially
I love
around
it.
here, right?
Yeah.
Something new every day, meet new people every day like you got to today. And so, Coach, thanks for sharing that. And always just interested to know what drives and what inspires people. So thanks for sharing with that, Coach.
I appreciate it.
Coach, we'll catch up with you after the ball game Friday night. It'll be homecoming at Rebel Stadium. We wish you the best of luck.
All right, go Rebels.
Folks, that wraps up our show here this Wednesday night here on LA 105.3. Pre-game show, 6:15, right here on the same station. You can also catch that on WMHS.TV. Kickoff set for 7 o'clock, homecoming against Scotlandville. For Dawson, back at the studio. Tim Gallion here with me at Freddy's here on KLIP 105.3. I'm Rick Guillot. Good night, and God bless.